Can you get started as an owner operator with bad credit? 100%. But you probably know this already. You're going to pay more for literally everything as an owner operator with bad credit. You're going to pay more in annual percentage rate and finance charges for your vehicle. You're going to pay more as a premium, as a monthly payment on your insurance. Like everything in American society, for the most part now, is based on your credit. And it's not that bad credit won't allow you to get what you want to get. It's just that bad credit is a whole billion-dollar industry within itself. Okay, so you definitely want to be thinking about getting your credit straight. I can't say that I would want to not go owner operator because my credit was bad, as long as everything else was in order. But just know that if your credit's not good before you get started, that's just going to be one more potential roadblock or potential hiccup in between you getting from where you want to go to where you want to go. So be working on your credit. And essentially, like, you know this already, like, bad credit basically means you don't pay your bills. Okay, so like, we know that you need to fix your credit. We know that you need to work on cleaning up old stuff. But like, at the same time, be paying your current credit. Like, right, like, if you got bad credit, that means, generally speaking, you may not have good money habits. You may not have you just may not be good at paying your bills, taking care of your obligations, and doing what you say you're going to do. Those are the things you need to work on if you have bad credit, because those are the habits that created the situation that got you a 450, a 500, a 550 credit score. So like, work on your credit. Get in the habit of paying your bills. Get in the habit of paying your bills beforehand, because like in trucking, your credit means something, right? The better your credit is, it's gonna save you a whole lot of money. Another thing you need to be thinking about before you go owner operator, and these are all pretty obvious things, but here's another thing, is your cash reserves, how much cash on hand you have. And I would say that this depends on how you run, how you set up. In certain setups, you're going to need more. It's better to have more cash reserves. In some setups, you may be able to get away with not having much cash. Now, when I got started, I'll tell you right now, I had a truck that was paid for and somewhere between $12,000 and $15,000 set aside to start off when I started as an owner operator. I've run in the state. I stay in the state. And you know, I'm not over the road, right? So the truck that I had, I was able to, a $10,000 truck did me fine. Okay. Some people will tell you with the way that they run that a $10,000 truck is not going to get you, it's not going to get the job done. And they're correct. But the type of job that I was doing, the type of truck that I bought, which is a $10,000 truck, did me just fine. And the amount of cash that I put inside did me just fine. And I'll admit to you right now, though, I could have had more. I could have had more. Like, having more than 15,000 wouldn't have hurt any. I probably could have got away with having a little bit less than that, but like, you're going to need your cash for something. And one of the worst things that you can do when you first become an owner operator, as you start to make money, as you start to make an amount of money that you may not have made before, the worst thing you can do is start mentally pocketing that money, mentally start claiming that money as your money, right? Like things can happen. I've had some things come up the end of this first year as an owner operator that I didn't necessarily foresee these things coming up when I first started as an owner operator. Luckily, I've been doing a pretty good job at putting money aside, putting money away, maintaining a maintenance budget so that when things come along, I can take care of them. But many people, when they first start making money that they ain't never made before, be it in trucking or any other business that they may start, for a while, they're like, you know what, I'm not going to spend this money. But then you start seeing people start spending money, start splurging, start buying stupid stuff, start getting cars and, you know, putting stuff on credit. And now they got a bunch of payments. And now when you get paid, you owe everybody. Okay, so you want to make sure you keep your cash reserves nice and healthy as you start to make more money. It's not yours. I would say the trick is to maintain the same lifestyle and the same way you live as a company driver. Maintain that same lifestyle and that same level of life as an owner operator, probably for your first 2 to 3 years. Like, if you've been making it without a new car as a company driver all this time, see if you can stick it out for another few years. If there's anything you've been making it without for the last few years as a company driver, see if you can continue to make it without those things, at least for the first few years as an owner operator. Okay, because again, you never know when something can come up. So you want to make sure you are overly ambitious with putting away money to have money set aside whenever you need to infuse cash into your business. Another thing you need to be thinking about before you go owner operator is the cost of your equipment and your startup costs. That's actually another bullet point that I got jotted down. The cost of your equipment and your startup costs. Cost of your equipment being whatever you may need. A truck trailer, whatever it is. Right now, we all know the market is up. That's not a reason not to become an owner operator because the bottom line is no matter how much you pay for your truck, can you make money with it every month? When the cost of a truck gets so high that you can't take it out there and make profit with it anymore, now it should really concern you what's going on with the market. But right now, even though the market is up, I wouldn't say that means don't become an owner operator, but you need to run your numbers. You need to figure out how much it's going to cost you to pay for that truck, be it cash or be it on a monthly basis, and how much you can potentially make. And if there's enough of a gap in between there, then it don't really matter what you pay for the truck. It does, but it doesn't really matter. Don't let the cost of the truck stop you from making money. You can still make money on a truck even with trucks being sold at a higher price from my perspective. So startup costs like truck and trailer, or excuse me, cost of equipment like truck and trailer. And when I say startup costs, I guess I'm kind of really talking about like compliance things, like the cost of insurance. That would be a startup cost. The cost of your tags, your registration for your truck, whether you're going to register your truck intra-state or staying in the state like I am, or whether you're going to get the apportion tags that allow you to go over every state or in every state. That's just how you're going to be set up. Compliance like IRP, which again is your IFTA, like your fuel taxes, your DOT numbers, any permits that you need, all of that good stuff I would put under startup costs and compliance, because that's a big issue. And while I'm speaking on compliance, before you go owner op, like be looking around for a company to help you out with compliance. They aren't that difficult to find, but in this business, a lot of things thrive on relationships. And so before I would want to go with the cheapest company, I want to go with the company that I was most familiar with. I'd want to go with the company that has the best rep, and I want to go with the company that has the most likelihood of getting done what I want to get done. Because there are compliance companies out here that'll overcharge you, that'll charge you for stuff that you don't need, all kind of stuff. I would say you want a compliance company that's not only going to give you what you need, but also going to educate you on what you need, so that you're not going around getting stuff that you really don't need. There's a lot of owner operators that do fall victim to that. Another thing that you need to be thinking about before you go owner op is your setup. I kind of mentioned this a little while ago, but get a little bit deeper into it. Your setup, whether you're going to be leased to a company, whether you're going to have your own authority, what you're going to do. If you're going to have your own authority, how you going to find work for this? If you're going to be leased to somebody, what can you expect as a leaser with a person that has a truck leased onto this company? What can you expect as far as income? And you can compare that obviously to the cost of what you estimate a new truck going to cost. And that kind of brings me into the next thing you need to be thinking about, and that's all your expenses. The cost of doing business, the insurance, the fuel cost, the maintenance cost, the estimated maintenance cost, I should say, all of that good stuff to get a pretty good snapshot of what you can expect. I would say that most truck drivers, most of us out here on the road, really don't know our numbers. We're making money, but we really don't know, when we break it down, actually how much we're making. And one of the reasons that we don't is because, one, we're not on a budget. We're not budgeting. Okay. If you're not budgeting, you can't know how much you're spending. Another reason we just don't know whether we're actually making money or not is because we're not really keeping up with all of our expenses. We're paying them, but we may not be logging them. We may not be accounting for them properly. And we may just not be keeping up with all of that stuff. I know that's something I've kind of struggled with my first year as an owner operator. I've done a pretty good job with it, but I have had to force myself to make sure I write down every little thing that I'm spending, because those pennies add up. All right. So, and along with expenses, that you need to be thinking about bookkeeping and accounting. This is something that you probably haven't had to think of much as a company driver, but as an owner operator, this is huge, because whatever you can't account for, you're going to pay taxes on at the end of the year. whatever you can't account for, whatever you haven't jotted down, whatever you don't log in the expense column, that's money that you spent that you're gonna pay taxes on. So you want to really get good at either keeping your own books and doing your own accounting, or finding someone that can do that stuff for you. And again, this is a place where you want to deal with somebody that you know. You want to deal with somebody that you feel like can get you the result that you want. You want to deal with someone that's not only going to give you what you ask for, but also going to educate you on what you need. And by that, I mean certain people, when you go to them as a service provider, you can tell them, I want this thing. And they will just give you that thing, or not even taking into account what you may actually need, or not even asking you, figuring out more about what you need so that you don't spend money getting stuff that you don't need, okay? So again, I want to deal with people, compliance companies and bookkeepers and accountants that aren't just, I don't want somebody that's just going to give me what I need and then give me an invoice afterwards. I want somebody that's going to actually educate me. That's so I can learn how to do the right things myself, so that when I come to them, my stuff is together. This is the type of companies that I would like to be dealing with. And the last thing you want to be thinking about before you go, or another thing I should say that you want to be thinking about before you go owner op, is like your entity, like setting up your business, setting up your LLC, setting up your S corp. If you're not familiar with how to do that, this is not a video that's going to get you acquainted with that. But just go to the SBA website. Just go to the Small Business Administration website, and everything you need to know is there as far as setting up your entity. So these are just a few of the things that I wanted to roll off for you that I feel like company drivers, before you go owner op, this is just some of the stuff you need to be thinking about before you make that move.
Maurice Bay, the Helpful Trucker here. For more helpful CDL tips, go here, or consider subscribing to my YouTube channel right here. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but instead you chose to be here with me, and I really appreciate that.